Welcome back to another episode of the DFS Express. I'm your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, here to talk UFC Phoenix or UFC on ESPN 1. Our main event is Cain Velasquez taking on Francis Ngannou. If you are watching this on YouTube, different than usual, going to do an audio-only episode. Ran a little short on time this week, a little under the weather. I'm actually recording this in my car on lunch break at work, so hopefully this goes well. If you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. Make sure you are also subscribed to the Loudmouth MMA Network, which is where you could be listening to this episode. A lot of great MMA content over there. Around the Cage episode, Not Safe for Work MMA show. Good stuff there. Thanks to them for the support. Also make sure and check out Newsom MMA, who posts these videos. And I have to shout out Newsom and MMA Lock of the Night. Again, the tape index they have on their website for handicappers or just if you like fights. Tape index, everybody who is fighting on the upcoming card. Links to all of their available fights, makes things really easy. Great job by them. Thank you for providing that. And of course, this is a DFS show, DraftKings. I'm a coach over at DFS Army. Make sure and become a VIP member. Use the code SNIPER for 20% off. In these videos, gonna go through each fight, kind of rapid fire, get you in and out, quick analysis on the fight. Some DraftKings analysis, but mostly who I think is going to win the fights. For more DFS analysis, make sure and become a DFS Army VIP member. As I had mentioned, I think that's enough of the intro. Let's get to some fights. We have Alexandra Albu, 8.6K, taking on Emily Spitfire Whitmire at 7.6 thousand. Albu, the favorite in this one, minus 130. Whitmire, the comeback, plus 110. Little bit of odds value here on Emily Whitmire, but I'm going to go with Alexandra Albu. I know she only fights once every 18 months. She's 3-0, but she's really strong. She's aggressive, throws volume. She's a little bit wild. She is hittable, but uses her brute strength and can get away with that. My worry for her in this fight is the cardio. She did tire and lose the third round to Kaylin Curran. But Emily Whitmire is 3-2 overall. She was finished on the tough show by Roxanne Modafferi. Her decision win was against Jamie Moyle. She's long for the division. She uses her range okay and has decent grappling. But ultimately, I think Albu is just going to be too athletic, too strong. As the line comes down on her, I might like her for a bet. She was up at minus 165 early in the week. So the line has definitely closed, but give me Alexandra Albu. I just love the volume, especially on DraftKings at 8.6K. Luke Sanders, 8.7 thousand, taking on Hen Barao at 7.5K. Luke Sanders is the favorite, minus 175. Comeback on Barao is plus 155. Barao 1-5 in his last 6. He's lost to Andre Ewell and Brian Kelleher. Sanders, on the other hand, is 2-3 in the UFC. His wins are over Maximo Blanco, Patrick Williams. He's a good striker, but he was KO'd by Andre Sukumta. He does better on the feet. Look, 5 years ago, you take Henan Barao and just move on. But he's fallen so far that Luke Sanders is the favorite in this fight. And Luke Sanders has terrible fight IQ. I can't really trust him. I'm going to pick Sanders to win the fight, but Barao is live at the price 7.5K. I don't think Sanders is going to finish him. If you're looking for a cash punt dog, I don't mind Barao. So Sanders is the pick for me right now. Barao, though, is the better DraftKings play as a live underdog. Jessica Penne, 8.4 thousand, taking on Jodie Esquibel at 7,800. Line on this fight, Penny, the favorite, minus 145. Esquibel, plus 125. Look, not a fight I have any interest in DraftKings. I'm probably going to fade it overall. Penny has lost 3 straight. Not 3 straight, excuse me. She has lost 3 fights in the UFC. It's Yeon Jacek, Jessica Andrade, Danielle Taylor. She's out 2 years. She got tagged by USADA. She's a stand-up striker, but she got hit by Danielle Taylor, who throws similar to Jodie Esquibel, who throws in combinations. Taylor throws faster. Esquibel throws harder. She is a Penny, this is a black belt in BJJ, brown belt in judo. I think if the fight goes to the ground, she will have the advantage there. Esquibel is 0-2 in the UFC, 1-4 in her last 5 losses to Jessica Aguilar and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I think her win was a split decision over Deanna Bennett. She throws from the outside and kind of throws those combinations moving in. Look, this is a close fight, but I think it's going to stay on the feet. I'm leaning towards Jodie Esquibel as the pick. She's less outside the cage issues. She's been more active. She's younger. My problem is that even though I'm picking her, she wins a striking decision. Where Jessica Penne, if she wins, if she's 100%, I think she has success on the ground, advances, and is more likely to get a finish. So it's another case where I'm leaning towards Esquibel as the pick, but I think Penne is the stronger DraftKings play. All right, next up we have Scott Holtzman, 8.5 thousand, taking on Nick Lentz at 7,700. Holtz is minus 165 favorite. Lentz is at plus 145. Look, Holtzman has won 3 straight. He beat Alan Patrick last time out. He out-grappled the grappler. His losses are to good strikers in Drew Dober. Josh Emmett was also able to defeat Holtzman through a little bit of a grappling game plan. But what I like about Holtzman is the pace and the pressure. He's always moving forward in his wins. Looks to grapple. Was relentless last time out against Patrick Williams or against Alan Patrick. Holtzman, though, is looking like he's going to be pretty popular, but I do like him here against Nick Lentz, who, he KO'd Maynard last time out. Gray Maynard, not Nick Maynard. KO'd Gray Maynard last time out. He's a 34-year-old vet. He's okay everywhere. I don't think he's going to need... I don't think he has the movement to stay away from the grappling game of Holtzman. Where Lentz is live in this fight is the submission. If he catches Holtzman in something, he has a good ground game. We've seen him catch subs off his back. We've seen him guillotine Will Brooks. Ultimately, though, this fight goes any kind of distance, or if Holtzman can't get a sub, or if Lentz can't get a sub, Holtzman should dominate, grind him out. Like the takedown upside here. Give me Scott Holtzman at 8.5K. Andrea KGB Lee, 8.9 thousand, taking on Ashley Evans Smith at 7.3 thousand. Line on this fight, Lee's the favorite, minus 170. Comeback on AES is plus 150. KGB last time out had a decision win against Veronica Macedo. She's strong in the clinch, good grappling. What's interesting here, though, is that Ashley Evans Smith is bigger, for sure, which maybe she can use some strength to stay up. She has some power. She's very direct. It comes down to who's stronger, I think. If KGB has the better technique, and that's ultimately what I'm thinking will play out in this fight. Her technique will overcome the strength of Ashley Evans Smith, and I'm not even 100% sure that Evans Smith is stronger than KGB. She just looks stronger because she is larger. Ultimately, I don't think Ashley Evans Smith is polished enough to give me KGB Lee here for the win. I'm at the preferred play at 8.9 thousand. I won't have a ton of Ashley Evans Smith because at that price range, you have Renan Barão right there, and I think he's a better punt than Ashley Evans Smith. Next up, Manny Bermudez, 9.1 thousand, taking on Benito Lopez at 7.1K. Bermudez the favorite, minus 200. Lopez the dog at plus 170. Bermudez 13-0, 2-0 in the UFC, 5 straight submissions, 3 straight arm triangles, at least according to Tapology. I don't think that last one was an arm triangle now that I say it out loud. He can be clipped, though. He got clipped in the feet by Albert Morales. He's really relying on his ground game, which is top-notch. He pulled guard. If he gets his fight to the ground, he's going to have a huge advantage over Benito Lopez, but he has to get it there. Benito Lopez is 9-0, and even though he's out of Team Alpha Male, he is an explosive striker. He lost grappling exchanges to Alberto Morales. It's a classic striker versus grappler. I'm always going to lean the grappler here. Fight is super likely to end inside the distance, according to the line and just what you see on paper. Ultimately, can Bermudez get this to the ground before Lopez cracks him? I'm going to lean towards Bermudez. As I said, he's my preferred play at 9.1 thousand, but I'll have plenty of Benito Lopez at 7.1K because he is explosive, and we've seen Bermudez get clipped before, and the finish obviously puts Lopez on the optimal lineup. So both in play for DraftKings, but give me, I'll stay on brand, give me the grappler in the classic striker versus grappler matchup. Jimmy Rivera, 8.3 thousand, taking on Aljamain Sterling at 7.9K. Rivera is the favorite, minus 145. Aljo, the dog, at plus 125. Rivera bounced back from his knockout loss to Marlon Moraes with the win over John Dodson. Has good grappling. He's solid all around. Obviously, went on that long win streak. These are two high-level bantamweights here. Aljamain Sterling, I think that he'll have the advantage in the grappling exchanges. If he can get this to the ground, I think he has better wrestling. I think he can. But even on the feet, I think if he stays at range with his quickness and kicking game, he can really frustrate Jimmy Rivera. It's a really close fight, but I'm going to take Aljamain Sterling. What I think is interesting, though, and Rivera, obviously he's the favorite, so he's live, where I think he would have success in this fight. If he can get into boxing range, I think he's got cleaner hands, and that's where he would really present a problem for Aljamain Sterling, who we've seen be knocked out before. Ultimately, though, I'm taking the quickness and the wrestling of Aljamain Sterling in a close fight at 7.9K. Miles Jury, 8.8 thousand, taking on Andre Feely at 7.4K. Jury, the favorite, minus 150. Comeback on Feely, plus 130. The line keeps closing on Feely. We're going to have some line value here, I think, by the time fight night comes around. I do think Feely will be chalk. He is one of the dogs I'm picking to win straight up on this card. Lost a split decision with Michael Johnson last time out. Won a close decision over Dennis Bermudez. He's from Team Alpha Male. He's a quick, dynamic guy. Feely loses to high-caliber strikers like Yair Rodriguez, Michael Johnson, Calvin Kattar. He has enough grappling in this fight to stay upright. I think he's just going to be too quick for Miles Jury. Jury fights out of Alliance. He's slow on his feet. Every time I watch him fight, he just looks slow to me. When his grappling is nullified here, I think he's going to have a real problem with Andre Feely. If Jury can get this fight to the ground, he has a good control game, good top pressure. That is his path to victory. But like I said, Andre Feely training at Team Alpha Male, I think he's got enough grappling defense to keep it on the feet where he should be way more explosive and dynamic. He's the pick at 7.4K. Vicente Luque, 9.4 thousand, taking on Brian Barberena at 6.8K. Luque minus 400. Comeback on Barberena is plus 325. Barberena beat Jake Ellenberger last time out. He's a tough, gritty fighter. He's the definition of a gatekeeper in this division. Like, good everywhere, tough, and his toughness is his best quality, which is actually always a red flag for me when that's your best quality. Luque, hype train is finally behind him. I was on this train early. He's the real deal. Big power, slick submissions. But like I said, the secret is out at these odds at minus 4,000. Huge improvement over the last 5 years. He's 7-2 in the UFC. He lost his debut to Michael Graves. He's a different fighter now. We've seen Darce chokes, one-hit knockouts of Bilal Muhammad. Like, the guy is for real. Ultimately, it's how long can Barberena survive, I think. And will Luque fade? I don't think he does. He's the pick at 9.4 thousand. Won't have much interest in Barberena. It's the only way Luque loses is if he tires out, at least is what I see. He's just better all around than Brian Barberena. Kron Gracie, 9.3 thousand, taking on Alex Caceres at 6.9K. Gracie's the favorite, minus 345. Caceres a dog at plus 285. Look, Kron Gracie is a submission specialist, as you would expect with the last name Gracie. His last MMA fight was New Year's Eve of 2016, heading into 2017. Obviously inexperienced in MMA. Low level of competition, fighting over in Japan, making his UFC debut. That being said, while he's inexperienced in MMA, world-class experience in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whereas Alex Caceres, 14-11, 2-3 over his last 5. He's not good. He's not really a good fighter, but he's quick. It's can he stay upright for 3 rounds? The second this fight hits the ground, he is toast. Everyone knows the breakdown here. Ultimately, I don't think he does enough to stay upright for all 3 rounds. I think at some point Gracie finds a sub. It's when does he? Because if it's in the second round and he only has 1 takedown, it could be 75, 80 points. And at 9.3 thousand, that's not a great score for Kron Gracie. If you want to take a shot on Alex Caceres, he clearly has a path to victory, even at his plus 285 odds. It's simple. Can he stay upright for 3 rounds and use some of his experience? I don't think he does. I'll take Gracie, but I understand the logic behind getting Caceres here, even though he is a 14-11 MMA fighter. Cynthia Calvillo, 9.2 thousand, taking on Courtney Casey at 7,000. Calvillo, minus 320 are the odds for her. The comeback on Casey is plus 260. Look, Calvillo has far superior grappling here, wrestling, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She subbed Poliana Botello last time out. What Casey has going for her, similar to the other women's fight on this card, is she'll be the bigger fighter. She's been in 3 straight split decisions with... she beat Angela Hill, lost to Michelle Watterson and Felice Herrig. She's going to be longer and want to use that range here. Again, I don't think she'll be able to for 3 rounds. I'm more confident in Calvillo with some of that experience. I think she'll get a finish here. I'm just not sure it'll come in the first round. I think she's going to use, she needs to use that wrestling and grappling to get on top of Courtney Casey, who we've seen get complacent on her back before. Calvillo's the pick at 9.2 thousand. James Vick, 8,000, taking on Paul Felder at 8.2K. Vick is the favorite, minus 115. Felder, the dog, minus 105. So a little bit of odds value there just in the line flip, but this is our mid-range fight. Vick was KO'd by Justin Gaethje last time out. He's beat Trinaldo. He's beat Abel Trujillo, so he can beat strikers and grapplers. I hate Lloyd Irvin. The backstory of the camp. Just look up Lloyd Irvin. That's where James Vick trained out of. Trust me, you'll hate him too. Look, ultimately, Vick is a long guy, good skills everywhere. I just don't think he's outstanding. Paul Felder, I think, has the tools to be a great fighter, but has displayed really terrible fight IQ, which is ironic for someone who commentates for the UFC. He's coming back down to lightweight after a split decision loss to Mike Perry at welterweight, where he broke his hand in that fight. I think he's just more well-rounded. I think, like I said, his problem is his poor fight IQ. I think he'll be able to get inside the range of James Vick. We've seen good sub-defense from Paul Felder as he, warded off Do Bronx Oliveira for a while before finishing that fight. Look, I'm just not a believer in James Vick. I know I think I got on the hype train too early. I've rewatched some film. I like what I see from Paul Felder. Really close fight. I'm not going to be overexposed either way here. I think this is going to stay on the feet, and they're going to exchange at range. Ultimately, I like Paul Felder in this matchup at 8.2 thousand. Time for a main event. Cain Velasquez, 9,000, taking on Francis Ngannou at 7.2K. Velasquez, the favorite, minus 160. Ngannou, the dog, at plus 140. Again, it's another one where we know all the variables here. The fight breakdown is nothing crazy. Cain's been out for 2.5 years. I have heard some people say he's overrated, which I'm just going to call bullshit on that one. Look, he's a bulldozer of a heavyweight. He can wrestle, and that's Ngannou's weakness. We've seen Cain. Cain's a great wrestler, especially for the heavyweight division. Ngannou is the strike/hype show. He can knock you out in one punch, or we saw a Stipe grind on him. He caught blades last time out. It's the same story with Cain. Can this fight stays upright? You have to favor Ngannou. Ngannou is obviously live to the knockout, good for GPPs. Say for the same reason, though, that gives Cain a low floor, is that he can get caught early. If Cain wins this fight, he's got an incredibly high ceiling with takedowns, and I think he'll look for a finish on the ground, where Stipe just kind of held him there. So, classic heavyweight GPP fight. I'll play both sides. I'm not sure about a stack in this one. Both guys, I'm not sure what they combine for. I think both guys have a path to really high scores, but the combination of this fight, is it 100? Is it 110? I'm going to look for some other paths to build. There are some dogs who I mentioned who I might look away from. Pick for this fight, I'm going to look past the injury concern. Well, it is an issue. Skill for skill, I'm always going to take the wrestler here, especially when we've seen Ngannou exposed before. Give me Cain as my preferred play at 9,000. So that's what I got for you guys for this episode. Hopefully the audio-only version worked well for you. Got any questions, please give me a follow on Twitter at the DFS Sniper, 1S in that. Again, make sure you're a DFS Army VIP where we can talk fights all week, more in-depth DraftKings strategy, cash plays, GPP plays. We have sheets, optimizers, odds breakdown, statistics, all that good stuff. Make sure you're DFS Army VIP. Good luck in your contests. I'll catch you next week.